of a disguise was in the accent and the voice. I've wanted for a long time to come check up on the lad. He's had something of a rough and tumble past, you know. He needs a firm hand to make certain he doesn't return to such unpleasant ways. I've often thought the very same thing, Lord Harm said. I assume we're given leave to sit, Lord Ladrian? Yes, of course, Waxillian said, covertly glaring at Wayne. Really? Beckler said, we're doing this? Wayne just shrugged, then he turned and took Steris's hand and bowed his head politely. And who is this lovely creature? My daughter, Steris, Harm said. Lord Ladrian, you didn't tell your uncle of our arrival? I was so surprised by his appearance, Waxillian said, that I did not have an opportunity. He took Steris's hand and bowed his head to her as well. She looked him up and down with a critical gaze, and then her eyes flickered toward the duster and hat in the corner. Her lips turned down. Doubtless, she assumed they were his. This is my cousin Morrissey, Steris said, nodding to the woman beside her. Morrissey was dark-haired and large-eyed, with bright red lips. She looked down demurely as soon as Waxillian turned to her. She has spent most of her time in the outer estates and is rather timid, so please don't upset her. I wouldn't dream of it, Waxillian said. He waited until the women were seated beside Lord Harms, then sat on the sofa facing them, and facing the doorway. There was another exit from the room, but he discovered that there was a squeaky floorboard leading to it, which was ideal. This way someone could sneak up on him. Lawman or lord, he didn't fancy getting shot in the back. Wayne primly settled himself in a chair directly to Waxillian's right. They all stared at one another for an extended moment. Wayne yawned. Well, Waxillian said, perhaps I should begin by asking after your health. Perhaps you should, Steris replied. Yes. How's your health? Suitable. So is Waxillian, Wayne added. They all turned to him. You know, he's wearing a suit and all, suitable. Is that mahogany? This, Lord Harm said, holding up his cane. Indeed, it's a family heirloom. My Lord Waxillian, Steris cut in, voice stern. She did not seem to be enjoying the small talk. Perhaps we can dispense with empty prattle. We all know the nature of this meeting. We do? Wayne asked. Yes, Steris said, voice moved. Lord Waxillian, you are in a position of having an unfortunate reputation. Your uncle, may he rest with the hero, tarnished the Ladrian name with his social reclusiveness, occasional reckless forays into politics, and blatant adventurism. You have come from the roughs, lending no small additional measure of poor reputation to the house, particularly concerning your insulting actions to various houses during your first few weeks in town. Above this all, your house is nearly destitute. We, however, are in desperate circumstances of our own. Our financial status is excellent, but our family name is unknown in the highest of society. My father has no male heir upon which to bestow his family name, and so a union between our houses makes perfect sense. How very logical of you, my dear, Wayne said, the upper-class accent rolling off his tongue as if he'd been born with it. Indeed, she said, still watching Waxillian. She reached into her satchel. Your letters and conversations with my father have been enough to persuade us of your serious intent, and during these last few months in the city, there's something missing there. I'm going to have to add it in. I've taken the liberty of drawing up an agreement that I think will suit our needs. An agreement, Waxillian asked. Oh, I'm so eager to read it, Wayne added. He reached into his pocket and absently got out something that Waxillian couldn't quite discern. The agreement turned out to be a large document, at least 20 pages long. Steris had handed one copy to Waxillian, one to her father, and retained another for herself. Lord Harms coughed into his hand. I suggested she write down her thoughts, he said. And, well, my daughter is a very thorough woman. I can see that, Waxillian said. I suggest that you never ask her to pass the milk, Wayne added under his breath so only Waxillian could hear, as she seems likely to throw a cow at you just to be certain the job is done thoroughly. The document is in several parts, Steris said. The first is an outline of our courtship phase, wherein we make obvious but not too speedy progress toward engagement. We take just long enough for society to begin associating us as a couple. The engagement mustn't be too quick as to seem a scandal, but cannot come too slowly either. 8 months should, in my estimates, fulfill our purposes. I see, Waxillian said, flipping through the pages. Guillaume entered, bringing a tray of tea and cakes, and deposited it on a serving table beside Wayne. Waxillian shook his head, closing the contract. Doesn't this seem a little stiff to you? Stiff? I mean, shouldn't there be room for romance? There is, Steris said. Page 13. Upon marriage, there shall be no more than 3 conjugal encounters per week, and no fewer than 1 until a suitable heir is provided. After that, the number is supplied for a 2-week span. Of course, Waxlium said. Page 13. Wayne, was that a bullet the other man had taken from his pocket? Wayne was rolling it between his fingers. If that is not enough to satisfy your needs, Starris added, the next page details proper mistress protocols. Wait, Waxlium said, looking away from Wayne. Your document allows mistresses? Of course, Starris said. They are a simple fact of life, and so it's better to account for them than to ignore them. In the document, you will find requirements for your potential mistresses, along with the means by which discretion will be maintained. I see, Waxlium said. Of course, Starris continued, I will follow the same guidelines. You plan to take a mistress, my lady? I would be allowed my own dalliances, she said. Usually the coachman is the object of choice. I would abstain until heir is produced, of course. There mustn't be any confusion about the lineage. Of course, Waxlium said. It's in the contract, she said. Page 15. Page 15. I don't doubt that it is. Lord Harms coughed into his hand again. Morrissey, Starris' cousin, maintained a blank expression, though she looked down at her feet during the conversation. Why had she been brought? Daughter, Lord Harms said, perhaps we should move the conversation to less personal topics for a span. Very well, Starris said. There are a few things I wanted to know. Are you a religious man, Lord Ladrian? I follow the path, Waxlium said. She said, tapping her fingers against her contract. Well, that's a safe choice, if somewhat dull. I, for one, have never understood why people would follow a religion whose God specifically prohibits worshipping him. It's complicated. So Paphians like to say. In the same breath as you try to explain how simple your religion is. That's complicated too, Waxlium said. A simple kind of complicated, though. You're a survivorist, I assume? I am. Delightful, Waxlium thought. Well, survivorists weren't too bad. Some of them, at least. He stood up. Wayne was still playing with that bullet. Would anyone else like some tea? No, Starris said with a wave of her hand, looking at her document. Yes, please, Morrissey said softly. Waxlium crossed the room to the tea stand. Those are very nice bookshelves, Wayne said. Wish I had shelves like those. My. And we're in. Waxlium turned. The 3 ghastly glanced at the shelves, and as they turned away, Wayne had started burning bendeloid and thrown up a speed bubble. The bubble was about 5 feet across, including only Wayne and Waxlium. And once Wayne had it up, he couldn't move it. Years of familiarity let Waxlium discern the boundary of the bubble, which was marked by a faint wavering of the air. For those inside the bubble, time would flow more quickly than for those outside. Well, Waxlium asked with a whisper. Oh, I think the quiet one's kind of cute, Wayne said back, his accent back in place. The tall one is insane, of course. Rust on my arms, but she is. Waxlium poured himself some tea. Harms and the 2 women looked frozen as they sat on their couch, almost like statues. Wayne was flaring his metal, using as much strength as he could to create a few private moments. These bubbles could be useful, though not in the way most people expected. You couldn't shoot out of them, or, well, you could, but something about the barrier interfered with objects passing through it. You fired a shot in a speed bubble, the bullet would slow as soon as it hit regular time, would be moved erratically off course. That made it near impossible to aim from within one. She's a very good match, Waxlium said. It's an ideal situation for both of us. Look, mate, just because this is not about Lessie. Whoa, hey! Wayne raised a hand. No need to get angry. I'm not... Waxlium took a deep breath and continued more softly. I'm not angry, but it's not about Lessie. This is about my duties. Damn you, Wayne, he thought. I'd almost gotten myself to stop thinking about her. What would Lessie say if she saw what he was doing? She'd laugh, probably. Laugh at how ridiculous it was. Laugh at his discomfort. She hadn't been the jealous type, perhaps because she'd never had any reason to be. With a woman like her, why would Wax want to look elsewhere? Nobody would ever live up to her, but fortunately it didn't matter. Starris' contract actually seemed a good thing in that regard. It would help him divide himself, maybe help a little with the pain. This is my duty now, Waxlium repeated. Your duties used to involve saving folks, Wayne said, not marrying them. Wax crouched down beside the chair. Wayne, I can't go back to what I was. You sauntering in here, meddling in my life, is going to change that. I'm a different person now. If you're going to become a different person, couldn't you have at least chosen one without such an ugly face? Wayne, this is serious. Wayne raised his hand, spinning the bullet between his fingers and proffering it. So is this. What is that? A bullet. You shoot folks with them. Hopefully bad ones, or at least ones who owes you a bar or two. Wayne. They're turning back. Wayne set the bullet on the tea-serving tray. But, time to cough. 3, 2, 1. Waxelian cursed under his breath and pocketed the bullet and stood back up. He started coughing loudly as the speed bubble collapsed, restoring normal time. To the 3 visitors, only seconds had passed, and to their ears, Waxelian and Wayne's hushed conversation would be sped up to the point that most of it would be inaudible to human ears. The coughing would cover anything else. I'm going to stop there in the middle of the chapter because we are out of time, but that's a little taste of what Alouette law is like. So thank you all, and I guess I'm done.